Hi, my name is George Tolbert. I'm a local entrepreneur here in the Nashville area. And today I'm going to be reading to you guys a phenomenal book. It's called When the Beat Was Born, DJ Kool Herc and the Creation of Hip Hop. All right, so let's go in. It should be so much fun. Clive loved music. It didn't matter what kind, whether it was the wah-wah scat of the jiving trumpet or the sorrowful twang of the sad voice, or the belting boom of a gospel singer. Little Clive loved the way the sound thumped and bumped all the way down his stomach. He loved the way the music made his feet go hip, hop, hippity hop. Little Clive lived in Kingston, Jamaica. He was a hero his hero growing up was a guy named DJ King George. How about that? He threw the biggest and baddest house parties in the neighborhood of Somerset Lane. On Saturday nights, everybody who was anybody made their way to Somerset Lane for King George's hot dance parties. Little Clive was too young to go to the parties, so he went to the house of King George and his friends when they were setting up during the day. They'd arrive pushing a big old handcart stacked with crates of records. Clive had never seen so many records. Look at that. Look at all those crates of records and big, huge speakers. He imagined himself as a DJ surrounded by all these records, choosing the right song to get the party jumping. He saw himself toasting like the DJs, talking and singing over the instrumental B-sides of records. Clive dreamed of everyone's feet going hip, hip, hop, hippity hop. Clive really wanted to be a DJ. Again, you see him, look at that. Tons and tons of just speakers and records for days. When little Clive was 13, he joined his mama in New York City. Clive wasn't sure if he liked his new neighborhood in the Bronx. It was cold. He had to wear a silly winter hat with ear flaps, and everybody made fun of him. So now he's in the big city. There's little Clive. He has a sad face. You can't see his face, but his face is really sad. But Clive did find one thing besides music that made him feel like he belonged: sports. He ran track and lifted weights. He played basketball at the neighborhood playground. Soon, little Clive was no longer little. He had grown 6'5" tall. He called himself Kool as Clyde, after his favorite basketball player, Walt Clyde Frazier. But the kids on the basketball court took one look at his size and called him Hercules. Clive cut the name short to Herc, then added the Kool, and just to make it right, Kool Herc. The best part of being big was that he could go with his mama to the neighborhood house parties where he would listen to the hottest tunes and dance like crazy. Clive loved these parties. They were just like the ones he stood outside of Somerset Lane. One day, Kool Herc's father brought him a monster sound system with giant 6-foot speakers. When he hooked up the system, instead of a really big sound coming from the speakers, a little mumbling sound trickled out. Kool Herc spent days switching wires and plugging things into other things until one day the sound was big. Not just big like Kool Herc, but big like the entire block in the Bronx. Look at those speakers. You can entertain the entire city of Nashville with those. Kool Herc and his little sister Cindy rented the rec room in their housing project on Sedgwick Avenue. They hand-wrote invitations telling everybody when and where to get their groove on. They posted cards around the neighborhood and set up their father's sound system. On the night of the party, everybody who was anybody made their way to Sedgwick Avenue for Kool Herc's dance party. And that's when Kool Herc became DJ Kool Herc. DJ Kool Herc noticed that the dancers danced crazy during the hard breaks in the song when the lyrics ended and the music bumped and thumped. Herc knew that's when the dancers wanted, so he plugged in 2 turntables instead of 1. He put the same record on both turntables, then set it up so that when one record ended its break, he could flip over to the other turntable and play it again. Doing this over and over, he made a 10-second break last for 10, 15, or even 20 minutes more. So he's got his two turntables, a mixer in the middle. He's just taking his crossfader and going back and forth between the two of those. Herc remembered the way DJs in Jamaica would chant and toast over the music, so he started calling out the names of his friends during the break. There goes my mellow Coke LaRock in the house. There goes my mellow Clark Kent in the house. There goes my mellow Timmy Tim in the house. There goes my mellow Bam Bada in the house. Everybody loved hearing his or her name called over the music. He complimented people on their dance moves. He talk about the music and send out shout outs. He'd make up little raps and jump rope rhymes he heard on the playground. He would then call, hey, Mike on the lights, Mike on the strobe. He would flip the switches on and off. So Kurt learned to rock a party, pretty much. Over the next year, Herc took his parties to the streets and the parties of the Bronx. He plugged in his sound system to the lampposts. They pulled so much power that the street lights dimmed, the perfect lighting for a street party. Kool Herc's music made everybody's music happy. Even the street gangs wanted to dance, not fight. Gangs like the Savage Skulls, the Glory Stumpers, the Blue Diamonds, the Black Cats, the Black Spades turned into breakdancing crews who performed some of the slickest moves. So this guy literally changed his community through music. Make street thugs start dancing. Herc called the coolest dancers breakdancers, or b-boys, because they love to dance the breaks. Makes sense. When Herc would find a really good break, he'd shout out, b-boys go down. Then the breakdancers would cut and jump their gymnastics. Hey, check this out. Top rock, down rock, windmill, turtle, the suicide, one hand freeze. When I was 100 pounds lighter, I did all that. I don't do any of that now. Herc gathered a crew of friends to rap behind his DJing and invited Coke LaRock, a Jamaican friend, to rap. He called himself Master of Ceremonies, or MC. Coke knew about the toasting like Jamaica DJs. He was the first of Herc's crew of MCs called the Herculoids. Herc would introduce them with the rap, you rock, you don't stop. And this is the sound of DJ Kool Herc, and the sound system you're listening to is what we call the Herculoids. Soon kids from all over the neighborhood in New York City came to see DJ Kool Herc, who threw the biggest and baddest parties in Sedgwick Avenue, Africa Bambaataa, Grandmaster Flash, Jazzy Jeff, and dozens of others who all wanted to be DJs just like Kool Herc. There's no story that can be told. There's no horse that can be rode. There's no bull that can be stopped. There ain't a disco that we can't rock. Herc, who's the man with the plan from the land? Gracie Grace, Herky Herc. There's everybody lining up to see the world famous now DJ Kool Herc. Herc couldn't just rock the block. He put the hip hop and the hippity hop into the world's heartbeat. And there's a picture of DJ Kool Herc. The end. So there you have it. Today you just learned how hip hop became hip hop, all because of the foundation of one man, the Honorable DJ Kool Herc.